Hi, Molly. Welcome to our April webinar. Thank you for joining us. Molly is here with us. Runs her own chiropractic, holistic marketing, Instagram management company. Do you want to tell us a
Yeah.
little bit about it, Molly?
Well, you did such a great job. Hi, Lauren. Lauren and I actually got to hang out in person last October, so it's really cool. It's like fun. Like I feel like I know you. We got to have breakfast and all that
Yeah.
stuff. So yeah, my name is Molly Cahill. I've been doing this about 5 years. I run an Instagram management agency and also have an online program called Holistic Marketing Hub, where our main goal is we feel very similarly to perfect patients, where it's like more humans need to know that the solutions that you have to offer exist.
Right.
And beyond that, more humans need to know the depth. Even if they do know about chiropractic, they need to know like the depth of what you can actually do for them beyond, whiplash or the
Yeah.
TikTok, the
Acute
TikTok.
pain. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And so chiropractic changed my life. I mean, that sounds like super like this grandiose statement, but it truly did about 15 years ago. And I'm just kind of on a mission to spread the word. And yeah, so we don't just work with chiropractors in our agency. We also have some functional medicine, health coaching, acupuncture, which is great because I know a lot of you are also venturing into kind of like, I don't want to say you're doing it on the side, but like you either offer it or you're adding it as an ancillary service, or maybe you sell supplements in your office or whatever. So yeah, our main focus as a marketing agency is Instagram and email marketing. But I think some of the things you'll learn today, even if maybe you're bigger on Facebook or whatever, I still think things you'll learn today will really be able to translate to all of your marketing. So thanks for
Yeah.
having me.
Awesome. Yeah, we're excited. Instagram, social media is something that we hear a lot about from our clients, from our leads. There's just this overarching pressure, I think,
Yeah.
of I need to do more on social media, or what can I do on social media, or I need to start posting more. I need to do this, right? I don't know where that need comes from, but obviously, we always kind of joke internally how there is there are great ways to do social media. There are huge value and benefit to doing it, but then there's also ways that you can be wasting your time
Yeah.
essentially, or just kind of
100%.
spinning your wheels.
Mhm.
And so I'm really excited to have you on, and your expertise. You've been specifically doing this 5 years now, right?
Mhm. Mhm.
So worked with so many, in this space, and just know the ins and outs. So I think I'm excited to have learn from you and all the good stuff that we'll go through. Um, so why don't we start there? Like, what
Yeah.
is this? Like, when they say, I need to do more, I need to be
Mhm.
posting, you know, what would you say to
So
that?
before I get into the brass tacks tips, like you're going to want me to immediately go into like, first, I want you to create a plan, but I'm not going to go there because plans only serve us once we've gone back a step, and mindset work is so not sexy. No one wants to talk about it. And they're like, just tell me what to do. But I have to tell you this. If you aren't every day remembering why the heck you're doing what you're doing, then posting on social media, whatever marketing it doesn't matter what the marketing is going to feel like a chore, and it's going to feel like something that continually is added to your to-do list and doesn't get checked off. So
Sure.
I can always do a little gut check. Whenever I'm starting to feel a lot of shoulds in my business, I have to go back and read some of my testimonials of like a student. Literally, like I got a DM from a student and it was so sweet. It like made me tear up. It was like, Molly, it's working. A mama's bringing her baby in for care. And I was just like, yes, like, so that's my why, right? And that's perfect patient's why, I think, as well, is, we want
Yeah.
more, as we said at the beginning, we want more humans to know about these holistic healthcare solutions. So for you, I want you to always go back to your why, and then it feels less like a should. So my sister-in-law, I always tell the story. My sister-in-law literally learned how to breastfeed watching reels on Instagram. And so for in your brain, you're like, post that reel on Instagram, add it to my to-do list. It's like, no, no. Why are we doing this? If
Yeah.
you have a mom who is just exacerbated because she has her kid's been on antibiotics for the 7th time this year for ear infections. And, all of a sudden something pops up in her feed. She probably never even knew that babies can go to chiropractors, and you've all of a sudden given her that solution. Then that's the thing that you have to always keep in the forefront of your mind, in my opinion. And then the other more mindset piece that can make this feel more manageable is, I also want you to remember that you're not what I call an influencer model. I love working with local brick and mortar businesses for a reason, because we're not looking for, we're not a fashion influencer who's making probably like, 50 cents per Amazon purchase you make, and you need thousands of comments and able to make a living. You couldn't support that sheer volume intake of clients. And so
Yeah.
just recently, one of our Instagram management clients she got 5 new patients last month, who specifically mentioned Instagram on the intake form. And one of them said, "Oh, I saw that reel you did." It was like this funny reel about Chick-fil-A. Anyway, she's like, "I saw that reel you did." And I was like, "Oh, she's my people." Well, I asked our client, I said, "Did she comment on that reel?" And she was like, "Nope." So you also have to remember how many silent lurkers you have,
Yeah.
because you're in the business to consumer business, not the business to business like I am, or like a perfect patient. Like we get the luxury of going to be able to comment on other businesses' pages. You're not going to go to some random, athlete's page and be like, "Hey man, looks like your neck hurts. Can I help you?" Like, so you kind of have to think of it. I call it like a conversion account. So you're not looking for like this sheer insane amount of followers, insane amount of comments in order to make this work, because Instagram is more about brand awareness than actual, like, it's like your website kind of, right? It's like
Yep.
your website is probably something that helped them make the decision to book with you, but are they
Right.
going to put website on the intake form? Maybe, maybe not. It's the same thing with
Yeah.
Instagram, as the kids say these days. It's where they go to check out your vibe. So if like you
Yep.
refer me to your chiropractor and I'm like,
Yeah.
"No, man, I've seen all those TikTok videos. I'm really scared. I'm not doing this." And you're like, "Just check them out." I go check out their account and I'm like, "Oh, I could do that." And I book an appointment. I'm not going to list Instagram as how did you hear about
Yeah.
us? I'm going to list Lauren. So I
Yes.
think setting those couple things up as a base foundation for what we're going to talk about today are really important.
Yeah, I love that. I think that's hugely important. So I think oftentimes we get into this mindset of just I need to post because it's been 3 days or it's been a week or it's been 6 months and I just need to post. But what value add is that actually doing? And if that's the approach, what are you getting out of it? So we always
Yeah.
kind of joke like if that's the mindset, you probably don't need to post.
Yeah. And maybe it's humor. Like maybe you're just sharing a funny meme. You know what I mean? It doesn't necessarily have to be like this
Yeah.
deeply educational content all the time. And I'm going to talk about that too, what I call my content ecosystem. But
Awesome.
yeah.
Okay. Awesome. Well, why don't you get started on a couple of the tips that you want to share, like the most important things um, that they should start with? What do they start with? Like, what do they need?
Again, you're going to come through this computer screen and strangle me. And you're like, "I showed up here for Instagram tips," but you have to go back to your core marketing messaging. And because of the nature of the business that you do, like you're literally like hands-on. I don't, know of any virtual chiropractors or like a
Yeah,
chiropractic course. You're
not
literally,
yet.
yeah, you're literally hands-on, right? So you can't hide behind your logo. You can't hide behind, stock imagery or Happy Easter or Happy Donut Day. I need to know when I walk in to the clinic, I'm like, "That's Dr. Lauren. I saw her picture," because I'm going to have that personal connection. Right. So I think so many of us, and I always use Dr. Christy, if she's listened to this, she was my chiropractor in San Diego. She's the one who essentially got this business started for me. This was not the plan. That's a whole other story for a different day. But when I first started seeing her, she was only about a year out of chiropractic school, and she wore khakis and a button down, and she had like her, you know what I mean? Like everything was and then now she has a nose ring. She has a full sleeve of tattoos. She wears her tank top because she's just like, "You know what? Like whatever."
Right.
Like that was never who she was. But I feel like, and I don't know what's being taught in school now, but it's even not in just chiropractic, but in any school, it's like professional Molly and personal Molly, and the two don't mix. And I feel like now in our society, we're like, no, the two are very much integrated. And especially, like I said, when you're a hands-on practitioner.
Right.
So
And it's such an emotional decision. Like,
yes.
this is healthcare. This is like, you're touching me. This is, like, it's like hands on. I want to know who you are, not just like a button up or a collared shirt. And I think we focus on that a lot at Perfect
Mhm.
Patients. We do a lot of focus on that, and then try to bring that out in. That's why all of our sites are custom, so we can say, hey, like, you're not just a cookie cutter chiropractor. You're not just, Bill always jokes, like a warm body with a spine. Like, it literally, like, who do you want in your practice? Who do you vibe with? Who do you love seeing? Who do you, and then show up authentically for them. Um, and, and then you're
Yeah.
going to enjoy your job
Yeah,
a little more
and if you're
too.
not repelling people, you're not attracting the right people. So a good and I know that's hard for all of us because our human condition is to be loved and accepted, right? So there's nothing wrong with you if you want people to like you. Like it doesn't make you not
Yeah.
a strong human. Like we all want to be liked, right? But if you're vanilla ice cream, it's like sure everybody like sort of likes it, but you could be mint chocolate chip where I think it's disgusting. Lauren, do you like it?
Love it.
See, right. So you're going to be like
Probably my favorite.
mint chip. I'm
Mint
booking
chip
my
and mint
appointment.
Oreo. Yeah. Give
Yeah,
it to
whereas
me.
I'm like, gross. Let me go find my peanut butter cup people. You know what I mean? So it's okay to be that mint chocolate where it's like, yes, you're gonna have people who are like, oh, and then you're gonna have people who are like, ooh, book now. I helped
Yeah.
a student recently write her bio, and she's like, I'm in a small town. I'm not, I do pain, but I also do like stress. Like I'm not kind of like one or the other. And I was like, well, so we walked through some of the main like I was like, I had her brain dump her 10 last new patients, the ones that she felt were ideal, right?
Yeah.
And what they came to her for. And what we came up with was this beautiful list. It was like patients were listing the word tension. Some patients were having trouble with their menstrual cycles. Some were having trouble with back pain. And so it's like, oh my gosh, how do we put all of that in a bio? But she's like young and hip and fun. We put crappy periods in her bio, which some like there
Good.
might be like older people or more like buttoned up people who are like, that's so unprofessional. I'm not going to her. But someone
Sure.
like me, I see that and I'm like, oh, I'm going to feel like I can be myself at her office, book
Right.
appointment.
Sure.
So I think the key is like not being afraid to be you because there's going to, if there's that disconnect when someone walks in the door and they're like, this isn't at all what your website or your social media presence portrays. Um, a good like health check is if I can come to your page and not immediately spot a photo of you, that needs to be remedied. And if I could just switch out your logo for another chiropractor's logo and the page remains the same, even if there's testimonials on there, I'm like, sure, that sounds like someone else's testimonial. Then we need to do some deep diving into our personal brand. And that's what really, I don't know if y'all hear this often. Do you hear about like the saturated market thing often as a pain point?
Um, we're hearing it more, right? So we're
Okay.
hearing it a little bit more of like, oh, I've been here for 37 years and now we have 10 new chiropractors. And then so they're starting to see it a little bit
Yeah.
more where, yeah, more people are coming in.
I mean, that's your solution though, is being uniquely you. I mean, even big corporate conglomerates like Target, what do? They bring in for the home decor people like me who like home decor. They bring in like Chip and Joanna Gaines. So it's like now you've
Yeah.
got that face. You're like, oh, Target, but Chip and Joanna. It's like
Yep.
it's that personal brand connection. And a lot of people get really worried when I say that because they're like, wait, there's a big difference in personal and private. I'm not saying like air your dirty laundry, but just like
Yeah.
don't be afraid to be who you are as a human being.
Yeah.
Um, which uh yeah, and I don't know if that kind of leads me into my next point, if that's okay. If we can just
Yeah. Yeah.
okay. I don't know if you wanted to like Q&A or to
No,
keep going.
all I was gonna say
Yeah.
is we joke, at the website is more of like the classroom, right? This is
Mm-hmm.
where they get the information. This is can be more of a professional representation, but social media is where you have fun. It's the lunchroom, it's the playground,
Yes.
it's, this is where you show your personality so that they really do have that, even deeper emotional connection. But we said the exact same thing on the site, like having personal professional photography. If they can't see who you are, it just is huge. So yeah, I get it.
Yeah, and just a quick bonus tip, if you're having that photographer come in, which now, just so you know how important it is, we don't even accept clients into our agency anymore who don't have photography. And I know
Nice.
it's so important to you, like you'll even send a photographer to their
Yep.
clinic. Like that's how
Yep.
important it is. And because a lot of you too work with like, maybe you don't have windows, you've got fluorescent lighting. Like we don't know. I'm not trained to capture a good photo in that lighting. Like get someone, you know what I mean? Like I
Yeah.
don't know. But set up a tripod and just let it roll video, because then you've got all these little video clips that you can use for reels as well. And everybody's already got their like hair and makeup done and like looking, sorry for the guys.
Perfect.
Maybe you've got your
Oh, great.
nicer button down on. I don't know. Um, yeah. Um, so I just want to go back to this is still on the note of personal branding, but one of the things I talked about was that core marketing messaging, right?
Mhm.
And I talked about the student who we put like the tension and the back pain and the crappy periods or whatever. And I just led a workshop just last week, helping people write their bios. And the first thing we always do is, again, we do the exercise where brain dump. It doesn't even have to be your 10 most like recent new patients. That's just an easy thing for most people to pull in their software. But just brain dump 10 patients and then write out exactly what they listed on their intake form, not what you assessed
Yeah.
once you did their initial intake, right? You're not
Yeah.
going to say, I assessed, or I've got to correct their subluxations, or they have this C1 out of like, no, we're going to go to the language they
They
put
use.
on their intake form. And there is your marketing content. You're going to
Yeah.
write, some other questions to write down in that same exercise. And I'm sure I can give this to you, Lauren, to link if you want. I have like a form that walks through this, but it's, what else have they tried? What else have they tried before coming to you? And what was their final straw? What was the moment where they were like,
Yeah.
I'm picking up the phone and I'm calling this person? And kind of then like, what's that? How does that look emotionally for them? Like, what is it preventing them from doing? Is it preventing them from playing pickleball or working in their garden? Or is it preventing them from not snapping at their kids or whatever? Um, uh, all of that are things that you want to have in your marketing language, your website, on your Instagram, whatever. And that's kind of how you craft that like core marketing messaging and marry it with your personal brand, because it's going to show like that unique flavor of you.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's my little tip.
So what I took from that, getting on your Instagram or your social media page, if your profile picture is your logo, probably not.
I don't love on Facebook, you can get away with it, I feel like, because on Facebook, you can make profile photos larger. On Instagram, they're tiny.
Yeah.
So you can get away with a logo on Instagram as your profile photo only if the logo is designed. If you have a professional logo designer, they're going to know how to create what's called, some people call it like a submark. Um, some people call it like their favicon for like websites. And
Yep.
it's just a version of your website that looks good without text. So if you've got your logo's like a person running and then underneath it you have Vital Life Chiropractic, blah, 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 blah. No one's going to see that text on Instagram profile
Right.
photos. It's too small. So if you can't, like, if you're a visual person, just start typing in like massage into the search bar on Instagram. And the ones where it's like an up close photo of someone's face, it just feels different. Now, if you're a multi-doc clinic, of course, you can't fit like a whole bunch of faces into the tiny
Yeah.
little spot. So it's okay to
Sure.
use your logo. Just make sure it's a version of the logo that doesn't have text. And if that means maybe you need to go on to Upwork or Fiverr and have someone remake your logo and just tell them what you're looking for, they can do that.
Yep. We can do that too.
Yeah. Oh, you can? Okay. Well, then ask Lauren or your customer service from
Perfect. Awesome. Okay. And then make sure there's personal images in your feed right there. Yeah.
Yeah, and not
On
just
your
personal
grid.
images, but like if you say you work with athletes, there needs to be a photo of an athlete in the top like recent 6 posts. If you say you work with pregnant women, there needs to be a photo of you working with a pregnant woman in the top 6 posts.
Yeah.
So the whole old saying, a picture's worth 1,000 words or whatever.
Yeah. Awesome. Okay. What's next?
Next, I have created something that on this like topic of, content and your core messaging, we kind of briefly touched on educational content. And I was like, maybe sometimes it just needs to be funny. So most people, if you've spent any amount of time trying to learn anything about social media, you've heard content pillars being, and I'm sure y'all even asked, is that something you work through for websites too, or no?
I don't know that we refer to it as content pillar, but yeah.
Here's the
Yeah.
core things we do in our clinic. We work with
Yep.
athletes and this or whatever. So I don't love content pillars for social media because what I've found is in today's like quote saturated social media market, a lot of people's safety blanket is educational content. Like I'm just going to educate the crap out of people on every post. And what happens when you do that is it becomes a little stagnant. So over the years, after studying and identifying, I've identified like really 6 different themes, if you will. And I feel like my type A personalities probably hate this explanation because they want it to be like this. And I'm like,
Sure.
it's not quite that
Yeah.
straightforward. But I call it my content ecosystem. And some of the other days, like, what's a content ecosystem? I'm like, it's literally like something I made up. So don't like go through. This is not like a proper marketing term you're gonna find in the textbook. This is like
Okay.
Molly's flavor of how she teaches it. But it's like everything serves its purpose. And I like to think about it in 2 different ways. One is different awareness levels. So certain content that resonates with people who never knew that babies go to the chiropractor versus content of people who know babies go, but maybe are apprehensive versus content of people who take their babies and just realize there was one extra level of something you could help them with. Like those are 3 different.
Very different. Yeah.
Yeah, like, and I don't want you to overthink it, right? This is not something where I'm like, oh, who am I writing to? I just say that so people know. For example, I posted a carousel post a couple days ago of testimonials. I did not expect that post to get a ton of comments. I didn't expect to have really high reach, and it didn't. And I wasn't disappointed because I knew the purpose of that post was to help my people on the fence to either jump on or off, which is going to be a much smaller audience than my viral, like funnier, like, trending audio reels. So that's just one thing I like to think about. It's like, think about different types of content is going to resonate with different people depending on their awareness levels. You can Google like awareness levels and buyers, and you can kind of read about it easily. The next thing is I like to identify, like I said, my 6 themes, and those are, one is educational. I call it my like educational core evergreen messaging. And that's if you were, if you're a pain-based chiropractor, then that might look like rotating through laser, decompression table, oh, I have a massage therapist in my office, shoulder pain, knee pain, neck pain, whatever. Like so you do use more traditional content pillars under that theme. Your next theme is going to be what I call social proof, which is your reviews and your testimonials, case studies, which are also highly underutilized in my opinion. Quick tip on case studies. If you're doing like a carousel case study, the first slide is not going to be Lauren's story. Cause I'm like, cool, Lauren seems great, but I don't know Lauren and I don't care about Lauren's story. But it could be like, from 10% range of motion in her shoulder to playing tennis again, or I don't know.
Yeah.
So you want that first slide of case study to be compelling where people can see themselves reflected in that case study example. And then another way social proof can be achieved is, again, using photos of you doing the thing you say you do. So it doesn't have to be as straightforward as a Google review or testimonial. It can literally just be like, oh, I see that's a photo montage of 10 really cute babies. So she sees babies. Yeah. So
I've seen, yeah.
Yeah. So like that's the social proof category. The next one is what I call my direct pitch. This is kind of more like your blunt pitch. And that's a post that looks like, hey, we have a new patient opening Thursday at 2, or now accepting new patient, or something that's just like very to the point. It doesn't have to be hidden in cloak and dagger. This is something great I love on your grid, but I also love on stories. So like maybe you like every
Yeah.
Friday you hop on. My chiropractor does this. They have a in-office massage therapist, and it'll be like, Madeline's got 2 appointments today. Like, grab them before they're gone, and you're like, oh man, I've
Mhm.
been meaning to get a massage. So that's kind of my like direct pitch, blunt type post. And then the
I
other one
think
is more,
on that,
oh, go ahead.
real quick, I was just going to
Yeah.
say on that, it kind of brings me back to what you were saying earlier of the goal of that post is not to get 35 new patients, just to fill that spot, right?
Yeah.
And so
You'll
that
probably
doesn't
get
need
0
to,
comments.
yeah, like you literally only need to
Yeah.
have one person
Yeah.
or two, be like, hey, I'm in. I don't want to
Yeah.
wait 6 weeks to get
Yeah.
into massage, or I don't want to, I have my appointment in 4 weeks with you, but I'm going to go in today because I'm about to get on a plane and I know that that's going to be, so
Yeah.
I think having that in mind of like every post does not need to
Yeah.
hit it out of the park and
Um,
be.
I just had a reel I did that got way more views, about triple the amount of views of any other reels. And I think it's because I hopped on a trending audio early, and you're like, oh, Molly, that's great. Well, I looked at my insights and I got 0 profile visits and 0 followers from the reel. So I'm like, I mean, cool, but who is
Yeah.
watching it? Versus that testimonial carousel had about a quarter of the reach. And when I'm saying reach, that just means the unique amount of people who see the post. Had about a quarter of the reach, but I had way more profile visits, way more external link taps, which means like,
Yeah.
okay, people are actually going to the link in my bio and clicking it. So yeah, it just depends, like I said, the goal of each post, but I'm glad you pointed
Yeah.
that out. The next type of content in my ecosystem is what I call like personal and lifestyle. And again, don't confuse this for private for private. But this is literally like a selfie of you hiking with your dog on the weekend. Like, people love it. Like, again, your cold leads won't care, but your current warm people like they want to see who you are as a human, and it gives them something to connect and talk to you about at your next appointment. You're going
Yeah.
on vacation. They want to see what supplements you're packing. They want to see, what high protein snacks you're putting in your bag or whatever. Like, people love that stuff.
We've had
Um,
before just a couple. I remember one time a client commenting on, "Oh yeah, I put this picture up of my kids stopped by to say hi to me in the practice or in office, and I just got a picture with them, and the one was wearing his Bulldogs shirt or whatever, elementary shirt, and it was like, oh my gosh, my kids go there." And so then
uh-huh.
it was like this connection of like, hey, like our kids might be friends, or like, so it's that, or like my kid plays in that soccer league, and that kind of just a little bit of emotional connection that builds. We have something in common. We're similar, or maybe I'll see you outside of this world that I think is a nice connection point too. That you wouldn't have
Yes.
thought like I'm not. I don't know what my son's even wearing, and then who knew that just his bulldog shirt or whatever said that. So
I love that you said that, because it's so true. And whether or not you realize it, people very much put you on a pedestal. You're like, no, they don't. I'm like, 100% they do. 100%. My chiropractor here, she has two littles, and she was posting what shoes with a wide toe box on her stories that she buys for her little ones. And I'm like, this needs to go on your feed. Like, don't just hide this. Stories is great too. But I'm like, don't just put this on your stories, because this is very relevant to your clinic's page, because not just because
sure,
it's shoes and that ties into chiropractic, but just because people want to know, like, they want to know stuff like that
yeah,
about you.
yeah,
Um, so then the last two, I saved these two for last because 9 times out of 10, probably like 9 and 7.75 times out of 10, when I'm auditing someone's profile, these two things are missing. And these two things are like the extra, like, herbs and spices in your soup, or like the gas on the fire. Like, these are the things that really kind of take it to the next level. And one
right,
is what I call my referral community collaboration theme, which looks like, if you're in a bigger town, I understand this is way easier. If you're in a smaller town, it's harder, but there's ways around it. I'm happy to brainstorm ideas with you if you ever want to DM me in a small town. but it's where it can be as simple as throwing up a post of you at your favorite coffee shop. Like, I love getting the flat white at XYZ coffee shop. Like, have you ever been here? What's your favorite local coffee shop? What's your favorite coffee? Or where's your coffee order? Whatever. Just anything that's like a sense of community. And then from a more referral based, we have this like carousel that it's inside the hub that people can just like plug and play their own recommendations. It's like for our pediatric chiropractors, it's like our birth team recommendations. It's like, lists out 5 doulas and 2 midwives and a newborn photographer and a lactation consultant and maybe a
Wow.
pediatrician they like or something. And it's where it's tagging these people. And now on Instagram, you can add them as a collaborator and not just tag them, which means it also lives, if the other person accepts the request, it lives on their feed too.
Yeah.
We don't
And what a
ever,
great opportunity
yeah,
to network and get
yes,
referrals from them regardless. But it's like, hey,
yes,
I want to do these consistent community posts or community collaborations. I respect you. I love what you do. Would you be interested? And I
yeah.
think that builds that
Yeah.
networking.
I mean, to be honest, most of the time I don't know that we really even ask because we're just like, why wouldn't they want extra? I had a local chiropractor who was more pain based here. And pain based is a little harder, just to be honest, than the like pregnancy pediatric for the community, like referral network. But we have a huge, very popular pickleball facility here. So it's like I did the post of like, let us help you stay in your game. And I added them as a collaborator. They didn't accept it the first time, but I reposted it again a month later and they accepted it that time. So just kind of be mindful of the branding and stuff. Like if you have hot pink as a brand color, like maybe don't use that because some people are kind of particular about their feeds. Some people don't care. But for the people who are more particular, they might not accept it because they're like, well, now I don't want this hot pink post on my feed. So I
Sure.
always say like, use more like black and white, like not black and white, really more neutral if you're going to do that. But again, it doesn't just have to be like collaborative, it can be coffee shops, restaurants, boutiques, a realtor, whatever, people
Yeah.
in your community, right? Because that's your community. And then the last one is I call it my engaging category. You've probably seen these posts, they're more popular on Facebook. I call them I can't help myself prompts. It's like for our pregnancy chiropractors, we'll do if you named your kids after your pregnancy cravings, what would their names be? And people can't help but play along. They're like, oh my gosh, I have to go throw mine in. So we've done
Yeah.
comment the last 3 things you bought on Amazon, no cheating. People can't help it. They're like a 20-pound bag of Epsom salts, a garden gnome, and it's just like, like you can't, you want to play along. Um, Also in this engaging category, sometimes we'll share funny memes from other creators. Just make sure you're actually like giving them the credit and not pretending like you wrote the thing.
Yeah.
We've done that before. We'll do like really easy prompts like, let's say you're in Raleigh, North Carolina. Are you originally from Raleigh? Did you move here recently? Or are you not local or something like that? It's just like a very easy graphic where people are like, oh, I want to play along.
Right.
So yeah, so that's kind of like the ecosystem in a nutshell. But any
Awesome.
questions on that before I go into my last point? No? Okay.
No, I think
Trying to be mindful of time. But
that's great. Yeah.
um, I would say the other thing is, all right, you've created all this content, but maybe you don't have that many followers. You're just getting started. How do we
Great.
actually get it seen?
Right. Okay. I was going to ask on that. Like, how do
Yeah.
I get followers? How am
Hmm.
I reaching? Do I
Yeah.
incessantly ask every time my patients come in, are you following us on Instagram? I mean,
Yeah.
what is it?
It's a multi-prong approach yes. So there are outside Instagram techniques that I love. So once we've got about a good month worth of solid, really good content on our clients' Instagram, we recommend that they email their patient database and just, hey, are you following us on Instagram? If not, here's what you can expect, XYZ. I've even like screen recorded reels before of the client and insert it into the email as like a quick little like GIF. I know it's GIF, but I refuse to pronounce it that way. It's like it's a peanut
I
butter.
say gift.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Good. You're with me. We're solidarity here. And it's like click here to weigh in on Dr. Kimmy's opinion on blah, blah, blah. And I found those emails got, at first we would just do like, hey, are you following us on Instagram? Click here to follow along. And those were like, meh, like nothing really happened. Once we started making and incorporating some of the content they were already posting into the email, like come weigh in, like come give us, because unfortunately
Brilliant. Yeah.
nowadays, just following is not always enough. Like, have you ever been scrolling and you're like, oh, here's a recipe blogger, I'm going to hit follow. And then you can't find that person ever again. They're like lost to the abyss.
Yeah. Now I have to save the post
I'm
and
like, dang
specific.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So in the email now, we're kind of like encouraging people to come comment, let us know you're here. You can even go as far as having a pinned post to your feed that's a current patient giveaway. Only current patients
Yeah.
can enter. You put it up the same morning that you send out the email, and that's the post that you link in the email. But like, come say hi, let us know you're here, and then we'll pick someone to win whatever, something in the office.
Right.
Don't give away like an Amazon gift card or whatever. So there's that. So that's one way that's like an off Instagram way. And then the other is hashtags. Everyone's gonna like all these gurus like hashtags are dead. I'm like, I mean, are y'all actively running Instagram accounts like we are? Because I can tell you they're not. Like they are not dead. Instagram is highly keyworded now. So just like Google, like, chiropractor near me.
Yep.
I don't think you could type in chiropractor near me on Instagram, but you could type in like chiropractor Knoxville and something would come up.
Yeah.
So we're not only using as many hashtags as possible of the local area. Now, again, bigger cities like hashtag New York or hashtag Raleigh or hashtag Nashville, way too big. You want to
Yep.
make them smaller and you'll see, go into the search bar, Instagram, start typing it in. I like to stay less than 250,000 uses. So hashtag Nashville TN is probably smaller, or Nashville moms. And then look
Yep.
at all the little surrounding suburbs that you actually pull patients from and look at those hashtags. If you're in a
Right.
really small town, you're not going to have as much to choose from, and you can just pick those,
Sure.
around your area, and that's fine. And then we've also started incorporating keywords into the actual caption itself. And Instagram's AI can read the text over a reel or on a graphic.
Wow.
So for a client, she just had like it was like a bump night event or whatever. And it was like, Raleigh moms, have you been wanting? It was like, that was literally the text we put over the reel,
Yeah.
because Instagram's AI can read that. We've also started doing like a little sign off blurb on not every single caption. It just kind of, I don't really know what I wouldn't say we have a science to it yet. We're just testing this right now. But we've started doing a little sign off where it's like, Dr. Lauren is a certified chiropractic sports physician in Encinitas, California, and who treats athletes trying blah, 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 like almost like a little bio line, or not bio
Okay.
line, but like a little bio, like a 1 sentence thing at the bottom of the caption. Even just like I said, the more information you can give the algorithm, the better.
Right.
And then the last piece, and this is going to take a little work on your part, but it works, is what, like, you got to go out. If you were to host a networking event at your office, or like say you're hosting an event at your office and you just like ran around town and slapped up a bunch of flyers, I'm not really sure what you would expect like the turnout to be.
Sure.
Instead, if you were going to actually speak to the other people and you're like, hi, I'm having an event, we would love to have. So social
Sure.
media is not passive like people think it is. You have to actually go engage. So we'll go to these same
It's
local.
social.
Yes, network. I always say network, like just like you would in real life, right?
Yeah.
So you're going out into these local businesses in the community, you're commenting on their posts, you're, sharing them to your stories and tagging them like, look at these cute sugar cookies for Valentine's Day. And you're like sharing it to your stories and tagging them. Yeah, you got to actually network and like be going out, because then a lot of times people will then reshare to their
Yep.
stories. And then the last, really, like, I think this is like the easiest tip, and I've never heard anybody teach this anywhere, and I think it's such a no-brainer, but being a former military spouse, like we moved a lot. And I learned about everything through local Facebook groups. I hate Facebook. I don't use Facebook except for the local groups. So have your like 3 to 5 patient all-stars go to their local, a couple different local community Facebook groups. Say, hey, I've lived here for X amount of years. Here's my favorite local businesses. And guess what? They're going to include your chiropractic office in their list.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
they like drop yours. And people want to play like they want to, you know, I saw people like, that was my landscaping person, and here's my house cleaner, and
Yep.
here's where I like to go out to eat. So like I said, that's just like a really easy thing.
Great. Yeah.
Just talked for a
So
long
much
time.
good stuff in there, Molly. Gosh. Okay. I want to hit you with just a couple quick fire questions
Yeah.
from your expertise. Okay. So, um, Perfect Patients, we have a social media service, a content service where we just do some basic posts, right? Just giving you some content. We refer to them more as like filler posts. Um, Good or bad? Be honest.
Good. No, good. Here's why. No, manage your expectations.
Right.
So I don't think you're going to get a whole lot of engagement, or it's not going to be seen by a whole lot of non-followers, but it can be the thing where people come to your page and go, oh, they're actually still in business.
Right. It's not just a happy Memorial Day from
Yes.
last May. Okay. Perfect. And that's kind of what we talk about too, is the idea is these are your filler posts. Okay. When I don't have time today to put something together, or the time got away from us, something at least is going out to encourage some engagement. We always say personalize those as much as possible. So like ask a question or encourage some kind of comment or engagement, or spring cleaning time. I spent the weekend cleaning my garage. What are you cleaning this week?
Yeah.
Something like that, right?
Yep.
So awesome. Okay, and then as far as their profile, what has to be there, real quick?
Only 2 things are searchable. That's your username, which is your @ handle, or that bold name line at the very top. So I always say consider the trifecta, which is going to be your business name, your name, and then your city, and then chiropractor. So
City.
if
Okay.
what now?
Yeah. You said city. I think a lot of people would forget that, right? So
Yep.
we're just, uh, your practice name, but like you said, and that's like search engine optimization, but yeah,
Yeah, I
it's
mean, there's
huge.
a bunch of like back to health, vital life. Like a lot
Sure.
of the clinics have similar names, which is fine. I mean, the name of my business is Molly Cahill Marketing. It's not that
Yeah.
it's not I'm not saying you need to have a more unique name. I just mean
Yeah.
you need to have your city. And um if you're a multi-doc clinic, I always say lead with the doc who has the most name recognition, and then the other docs' names can go in the bio portion, which is
Perfect.
not as searchable. Like when I say searchable, I mean someone's typing in,
Yeah.
um, chiropractor Boulder, Colorado. Like you
Yeah.
want to make sure Boulder's in there. Um, and you don't need, like, if your username is Live Well Chiropractic, then in the name line, it doesn't also need to say Live Well Chiropractic, because you're missing out on the trifecta of searchable real estate. Because people might not know your business name, but they know your name.
Sure. Yeah. We always talk about ease of the domain, right? So try to avoid
Mhm.
hyphens and things like that. Is that really that important with your handle, or?
You know, my litmus test is, like I say, go somewhere where no one has a network to you. So like if you're in a like big chiropractors Facebook group or something, and just say, hey, here's my name, here's my clinic name. Can you find me? And have someone test.
Yeah.
Because if you looked at my profile right now, my handle is at Molly A. Cahill.
Wow.
But I learned the hard way that if you just searched Molly Cahill, that I'm a water polo player.
Okay.
That's who comes up. It's not me. And
Sure.
I was nowhere to be found in the search results because of that A and my handle. So
Yeah.
I had to also add my name back to the name line. So
Okay.
I wish I had some exact science formula. I would just say, have
Yeah.
someone just try to find you and see what happens.
That's great. Yeah, I know sometimes it's like there's an extra hyphen
Yeah.
or a underscore or something that
But
can.
yeah, but like Lauren, if I was trying to find a friend of yours, I'm not a good unbiased person because I'm already connected to you. So the algorithm's going to show me people who are more like, you know what I mean? So like,
Right.
that's why I say go to a group where maybe nobody knows you and see if they can find you.
Yeah. Perfect. Um, do I have to post every day?
No, no, simple.
Do you have a recommendation? Is there a
Yeah.
science for how often, a time
Uh,
of day, when? I mean,
um,
what?
my recommendation is whatever you can keep up with long term. I have had little areas where I like call in my sprints. Like if you're like lulling new patients, I think there's merit in having like a more short term strategy of like a sprint where you're posting, you know, Monday through Friday or something. I mean, I don't post weekends just because I have to have that boundary for myself.
Sure.
Um, I think people are looking for more like fun, entertaining content on the weekends anyway. I don't have any data to support that. Maybe I'm just like using my own my own self as like my data source.
Sure.
Um, but yeah, there are times where you could have that little sprint, right? But I think 3 times a week, like they're like really solid posts are great. But then I think back to that whole like teapot parable. Have you heard that one where it's like the you just gave me a look like I'm not. So it's like, okay,
Yeah, I
so
don't
you know, like
know.
let's say there's like 30 students who come into this like clay class, pottery class. Who like he splits the class into two. One half, he says you have to make a teapot every day, and the other half, he says at the end of this class, you have to have one perfect teapot.
Okay.
And yeah, the group that had to make one every day had more perfect teapots than the actual group whose only job was to make one perfect teapot.
Sure.
So I feel the need to have that nuance because I know a lot of you are perfectionists. So when I say like 3 like really good quality, like don't we're talking B minus work here. Like it doesn't have to be
Sure.
A plus work because it's
Yeah.
never going to be
Awesome.
perfect.
Okay. Awesome. Well, thanks for that. Real quick, so why don't you share? I know we
Hmm.
have a discount code for
Yes.
our clients. So perfect
Yeah.
200. Tell them what that gets them or where they go to utilize that.
So I fire hosed you today. And I did that on purpose because I hate I've learned webinar strategy from people where it's like, don't give them exactly how, just tell them what. And I'm like, that doesn't feel good to me. I'd rather give you something, even if you only walk away using one thing I taught you today, that's fine.
Yeah,
But inside of Holistic Marketing Hub, I go through everything I taught today in detail with video, with examples, with step by step. And you get once a month calls with me. So you can be like, hey, Molly, I'm doing everything. Something's quite not working. Can you look over my account?
amazing.
Whatever. Also, in addition to that education is our huge, robust content library. I think we're
Great.
almost to 500 posts now. A lot of them have customizable Canva graphics to your branding, as well as we are in process of adding Reels hooks to every post. Now, this is taking us a long time because we have so many captions. Um, but I just literally yesterday had someone, hey, if I buy the hub, can my CA go in and pull posts? I'm like, absolutely. That's what it was
Yeah,
created for. Um,
perfect.
yeah, if you just go to mollycahill.com at the very top of my website, you'll see Holistic Marketing Hub. You can click there, and it's also linked in my Instagram bio if you're following me there. Use the code perfect200 and you'll get $200 off whether you decide to pay in full or do the payment plan. It takes it off either way.
Great.
Yeah.
And this is a course that walks them through
Yeah.
how to have success on
Yeah.
Instagram. Yeah, love it.
Yeah. If you actually
Great.
want to use it as like a to grow, just not just grow new patients, but as retention and really to kind of be seen as that thought leader and build up your brand awareness, this is the program for that for sure. And it's just a big time saver with all of the content.
Okay.
Yeah.
And for incredibly helpful tips, follow Molly at Molly A. Cahill
Yeah. Can't forget the A.
on
Um,
Instagram. Just a wealth of knowledge there. I know our own, we always are consistently sharing your stuff because it is just so good. And we appreciate all your insight and expertise.
Thank you.
So great. Well, thank you so much for your time today, Molly.
Yeah.
I hope you guys all enjoyed that. Got some, like she said, at least one great thing from it. Take some good tips. Check out the Holistic Hub course and reach out to either of us with questions.
Thank you so much.
Thanks, everybody.